nowadays we can like ask why the dad didn't stop for like Drake just being on set, why he didn't raise his voice. But like, I think for me as a dad, he was acting, he was making his dream come true.
Exactly.
So you as a dad, you don't want to
get on the way.
damage,
Yeah.
damage that opportunity for your son.
Sonoro.
More than Mamis.
Hello, welcome to a new episode of More Than Mamis
Untold Stories.
Today, we're gonna discuss about Quiet on Set, the revealing documentary series exposing Nickelodeon's abuse of child actors.
This docu-series, yes, it's really trendy right now.
Very well, yes.
I want to begin asking. When we were all children, we dreamed about being on a Nickelodeon TV show.
Oh, of course, that was my dream.
On a Disney TV show.
Yes.
Even though I didn't want to be an actress, I dreamed about being on set.
Yeah,
it was
it just looks so much fun, right?
so much fun, and it was amazing, like the shows and everything that they did, because they were having fun, and I dreamed about met them and being them.
Yes.
But the reality is that they were not having fun at all.
No, especially one of the cases that really caught my attention was about Drake Bell. There's many cases that are different kinds of abuse of power, things that the director and producer Dan Schneider did that he, for some reason he will put some inside jokes in the TV shows that were not appropriate for kids. You see, like Ariana Grande, throwing some liquid in her in a very sexual way. There was in one of the shows this kid that was wearing a costume that's supposed to be like a nose, and it looked like a penis.
Yes,
and
I saw it.
Things like that they why?
Yes.
Why?
It wasn't appropriate for that age.
No.
And for a TV show made for kids.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about being appropriate. There was actual abuse. And that's the story we're going to discuss today about Drake. I was a fan. Did you watch that?
Yes.
That show? That was my favorite. I love Drake and Josh. I will always have fun watching it. And it's that thing behind the scenes. He was just 15 and he was getting abused while he was in that show.
That's crazy. So
it all began with
how old is he right now?
I don't know, 40 something. But he basically he started his career very young.
He's 37.
He's 37. He started his career very young as a child actor. His dad was his manager. And little by little, he did start with commercials. Then he was in the Amanda show. And then, boom, this opportunity comes of being the star,
yes, a superstar
of Drake and Josh. And he was also releasing himself as a musician. And it was the dream, right?
The dream come true.
Yes, and one thing that really caught my attention was that the dad didn't like the dialogue coach, the speech coach. He was a bit touchy with Drake. He was always around him.
Okay.
And the dad brought to the attention of the producers, listen, I don't like this guy, Brian Peck, around my son too much. I feel weird about it. And you know what they say?
What?
He's gay, and you're probably homophobic. He's just a touchy guy, but don't worry about it. He is a good person. And then he was okay. And it's when you think, right? When you feel that that weird feeling about someone.
Yes, when you know, you know.
Exactly.
But like as a parent, I think like, because like nowadays we can like ask why the dad didn't stop like for like Drake just being on set, you know, why he didn't raise his voice. But like I think for me as a dad, he was acting, he was making his dream come true.
Exactly.
So you as a dad, you don't want to
get on the way.
damage,
Yeah.
you know, to damage that opportunity for your son. But at the same time, you know or you believe that something weird is
Yes.
happening. So
yes. And
it's heavy.
the crazy thing is, you know, this kind of people, they manipulate. They manipulate a lot. And one thing he started doing is that he got very close with Drake before things got very weird. And he convinced him that his dad should not be his manager anymore. So it was so
Brian Peck convinced
Yeah.
Drake
Yes.
to
Yes, to like, you know, your dad.
get his father away.
Yeah, your dad is gonna ruin your career. Like, you shouldn't like let him manage you. Blah 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 blah. Until, you know, he was just 15, and you know he's a known person in Hollywood.
Yes, he's a racing star.
So like, okay, I should listen to him, and he fires his dad, and then the mom became like the manager, but the mom wasn't as involved. So who became that figure? Brian Peck.
Wow.
So he lived in Orange County, and you know all the auditions and stuff were in LA. So he ended up like sleeping a lot of times in Brian Peck's house, and he would like take him to the auditions, also like prepare him for the castings, things like that, like the things that the dad was doing for him. In one night,
where was his dad in that?
Well,
time?
he stepped out. They got in a fight. You know, Drake was a teenager, so he was like, you know, they were separate, mom and dad, and the mom say like, you know, Drake doesn't want you anymore. He wants me, but the mom trusts this guy. You know, so what happened is that one night Drake was sleeping on the couch, and then he wake up being abused. And what he describes on the show, and in some other interviews I watched, that he like freaked out. Then the guy like apologized, like, no, this was a mistake, this will never happen again.
A mistake? Oh my God.
Like, I took it too far, blah blah. And you know, he was a teenager, so he believed it.
Yes.
He was like, okay, weird. He like, also I think when you're a teenager and you go around this and you're afraid.
But he was drunk or something, or during he was asleep, or
we don't know. He doesn't say that.
Oh.
He woke up, and the guy, I
Okay.
think
He was naked.
He was like over him doing not great things to him. So one thing that I could see from him, I'm like, as like the perspective of a mom, is that he didn't say anything because he was ashamed of being like, oh, why you let that happen? Or like, maybe like, you know, it was your fault because you were in his house, or, you know, it was your fault because you like provocated. So all those things let him like stay silent for a while. And then he like tried to like avoid being with Brian, but somehow he was afraid to tell his mom, and somehow the mom was like, oh, I cannot pick you up today, go to Brian's house.
Okay.
And that thing happened over and over and over and over again. So
and I think like when you start receiving that abuse, maybe you get used to, you know, like you just like completely ignore what is happening because it's the situation that you have to get through to be part of the set and part of being a superstar, and maybe you just get quiet.
I think he was like afraid also to like lose his career. You know, he was just starting, he was like in the peak of his career in that moment, so he was scared about that, until one day he had a girlfriend. And he was staying at the girlfriend's house, and we moms, we know, so they were watching TV, whatever, and he started receiving calls.
Okay.
Constant calls from
Brian.
from Brian. And the mom of the girlfriend says like, who's calling you so much? And he's like, oh, is this like my coach? He's annoying, blah blah. And then he started calling the house of the girlfriend.
What?
Because he was not answering. So it was like a jealous attack, you know? So the mom was like, this is weird. And then he ends up picking up because the mom picks up like, look, this person wants to talk to you. And he was like, hey, I remember that tomorrow we're going to Disneyland. So like, you know, I need to pick you up tonight, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I forgot, like, you know, no, I'm not going. Like,
Okay.
I'm with my girlfriend. Like, he got insane. Like, he kept calling until the mom was like,
Something is happening here.
yeah, he like, Drake, what's going on? And then, you know, he kind of like say it like, what was the issue? And then the mom of the girlfriend tells the mom, and it just became like very difficult for Drake to assume, because it's like hard to tell your
truth.
mom
Yes.
like what, like that difficult thing. So the mom called the police, and he set up Brian on a call to like just confess everything on a call. So thank God he was a good actor.
Yeah.
So he was like,
He was.
yeah. So he like started like making up a conversation that brought up the subject, like, you know, like, I feel really uncomfortable with this situation, like, I don't want it to happen again. And he starts like,
And the call is
accepting.
recorded in the documentary?
Yes, with all like FBI team and stuff, like. So
And what Brian said?
he confessed everything.
Everything. Wow.
Yes, and this is sad because he was around so many like young stars. There's this clip that is showing up everywhere online that he's with Leonardo DiCaprio, and he touches Leonardo DiCaprio and it's like, oh, look at those muscles, you're like a superstar right now. And he's like, ew, like, imagine that Drake was the one who's picked up, but how many stars, like young stars, kids, he abused before. It's sad. And I don't know, like, if me, like, random question, because that thought came to me, if Diego or Eros, your kids, will ever want to like be on TV, because, you know, we work with media and stuff, maybe, you know, what would you do?
No, I just like follow his dream.
Okay.
But like knowing all this situation, I will be involved 100% in that.
Yes.
You know, sometimes as a parent, I know that we don't know everything that is happening, but I think like we have to be there. For some parents that work, that his mom, that she couldn't be on set every day and every time, I think like
They shouldn't do it.
yes, they shouldn't do it. If you don't want to be with your kids, because he was a minor, he was 15, 16, it's a child.
Yes.
Like, it's a young man. Like, he didn't know what is happening. He didn't like know how to be in front situations like that.
Yeah,
So
how to
I think like,
confront.
yes, I will be there 100% if they want to be in a career that
requires.
that,
Also
yes.
with sports, we've seen
Yes.
abuse in the sports
Yes,
industry
that the
too.
gymnastic team, Olympics team
Yes.
of USA, because you pass so much time alone and with different kind of people, and for sports require a physiotherapy that need to touch your body,
Yes.
coaches that need to
Yes.
teach you how to move
Yes.
with your body, so they touch you, so you have to be careful and around your kids. And when they go to tournaments, you have to go with them. Not like, my kid go with his
No, and all
team
the
to a
trainings.
tournament in Orlando. No, I go with them. And
Yes.
I think it's part of being a parent. That remembers me the case of Michael Jackson, when he invited some kids to his home and the parents accepted just because it's Michael Jackson. It's like, no,
Yes, like why?
that you're selling your kid.
I know.
You know, you're selling your kids just because it's Michael Jackson and you want them to be famous.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was this other case in Nickelodeon. That was this PA, this producer, that he was always around the kids, like, you know, very enthusiastic. He would like make the parents feel comfortable because, you know, he's like so kind, always like smiling, blah, blah, blah. And there was this girl, she was like 9 or 11 at most. And, you know, he was like doing some emails to her after the show. She was just like a guest in that moment. And they were doing like exchanging emails. But like, why you have to do email a 9 or 10 or 12-year-old girl if you are 30? Like, come on, that's freaking weird.
That's a
right?
sickness for me.
Yes. And then, you know, it was all innocent. The mom was like looking at the emails. And then one day, the girl freaks out and like shuts the computer. And you know what was it? It was this guy sending a picture of him, you know, touching himself, saying, I'm thinking about you. Send me a picture of you doing the same. With a girl this young. Like, come on. So the mom, in that moment, she like didn't know what to do.
Thank God her mom was around.
Yes.
Because if not, you don't know the answer.
Exactly.
Like that, you know, for pressure or even though because you're curious. Because when you're a kid, imagine you at 12, 13, 14, and you are in front of that situation. You don't know if just because of curiosity, you know, even though you are from a good family and you have a good education, you don't know how you are going to act because you are like learning everything from life. You're like, you know, you are an open book, a blank book. So you're writing it and you are curious about life.
Yes, 100%. And well, this thing, the mom didn't report it. She didn't know how to handle it. But there was other person who did report him, that it was another guest of this show, that the same thing happened. But not just that, he actually abused of her. But when you listen to the story, it was like the guy came to their house and they were playing video games in their room. Like, come on. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, why is this guy coming to your daughter's house to play video games? So sometimes I think, one, or the parents are too naive.
Yes.
Or two, they don't care. Like, I just don't understand.
I think, like, somehow, as Drake's mom, she maybe knew and she wanted to be blind. Why? Because I wouldn't let my son stay in a house with an adult of, I don't know, 30, 40 years older than him. Like,
No.
It's impossible
100%.
for me to accept that.
No.
So for me, part of the guilty
The guilt
is
was the mom.
on her mom.
Yeah, on his mom. Yeah, 100%.
On his mom.
With this case, the guy was actually convicted. He went to prison. They found in his house, like, he would like have Ziploc bags.
But it was with 16 months in prison. Just
No,
16
that was
months.
Brian Peck. Brian
Peck. Yes.
The other guy, I don't know how long he
But
was.
16 months is nothing.
16 months is nothing. We'll
1 year
jump
and a
into
half.
that. This other guy, he would like have panties of like 9-year-old girls safe, like, why, in Ziploc bags with their names. Like, dude, you are like insane. You're a pedophile.
Yes.
So with that happened, and you know, the thing is that Nickelodeon didn't do much about that. You know, they're just like, wash your hands, like, you know, it's not related to us.
Maybe they try to silence, like to keep it, you know.
Yeah, but it lasted a long time. But you know, times have changed, and people is speaking up. And I'm sure after this documentary, more and more.
Because this was in 2004.
Yes,
long
time ago.
Yes, a long time, almost 20 years ago.
Well,
so
after that call is when, you know, everything got, he got convicted, but just 16 months. And the thing is that he got somehow hundreds of letters of people from Hollywood to like
supporting Brian. Oh my God, I'm reading that.
Yes,
that's crazy.
It's insane. And also like Drake says that it was very hard to see like on his side of the audience just his family, and on the side of
Brian,
all
the Hollywood stars.
All the Hollywood stars. And he say, one day you remember, like I'll remember this day as you supporting the guy who abused me hundreds of times and did horrible things to me, because it was also like torture, things like horrible things. So
how is Drake right now?
Well, he is a racing star in Mexico. He just released a new album, a new song. Definitely, he had some difficult times. Imagine like growing up with that trauma, right? So he obviously did abuse of substances, abuse of alcohol. He had like a really bad car accident. He like wasn't as successful on his career here, and then he like tried more with music, and he had very good fans and doing well. But the crazy thing is, like, for example, like Nickelodeon will not pay the royalties to them. It's like, think it's just all fucked up.
Well, because the contract, maybe they didn't see.
Exactly.
Review the contract
but if you like
properly.
Put Nickelodeon in Latin America right now, you'll still see Drake and Josh. It's insane. So he had a little problem with a minor too, but he was like kind of set up. Basically, one of his fans would like text him through Instagram, and it was like a fake profile. She said she was 19, and they start talking. Something happened, and then the girl like says that she was like 16, and like Drake slept with her and stuff, but he lied.
Did she want money?
She lied to her. She lied to Drake.
Yes, but what did she want? Money or
of course,
fame?
But whatever. Like they went to trial, and in the end, he was innocent because
he had
he had the evidence that she told me she was 19. But still, it's sad, and there's all this comparison, obviously, with Josh, because Josh is way more successful in his acting career. He was just in Oppenheimer, that won the Oscar as the best movie last year. So there was like not much support from Josh, and people start doing like
Drake. And they were partners.
Exactly, they were like brothers, right? And they grew up together in the Amanda show. And Drake and
Josh happened for the same situation?
I don't know. Remember, he was very fat back then, and he was treated different because the star, the hot guy, was Drake, right?
Yeah.
Right now, Josh lost a ton of weight, and he's like super successful. He stopped being like all just
but who is
cliche.
sick is sick. So
yeah, this cliche, comedy thing that always the fat guy, the funny guy, he's like doing like actual dramas. He also has a podcast. So he's very successful. And the thing is that some people are like, of course, he's not saying anything because he like was successful in his career, because probably he did accept and went through things like that as well. And he doesn't like say it, right? So that's some conspiracy. I don't know. Me as an actress, I started acting when I was like 13, 14.
Yes, little young.
Very young. And one thing that I remember is that I was always very like I would not trust anyone.
Okay.
For example, if I would never like be alone with a guy, for example, if I will see myself in that situation, I will like, okay, I'll step out. A lot of times I remember like for castings, like I will go with my mom, or I will go.
But sometimes you had to enter to the room by yourself.
Yes, and that's one thing that I think needs to change. I don't know how it is nowadays because I have some years without acting.
Did you see or did you remember something that today got your attention? Like, wow, I remember that maybe it could happen with that person. Do you remember something?
Of course, I do remember. Very little, thank God. I think I was like around good people, and my mom was always there. But I saw, like when I was more like a teenager, like 16, there was this manager guy that he was like, you know, like having good talents in Venezuela, and he actually took me to like good stuff, good casting. Like it was like, you know, getting serious. And then one day he tells me like, look, for like your book or whatever, I need like some pictures, blah blah. And I'm like, okay. I sent him my pictures, my headshots, whatever. And then he was like, no, I need a different one.
More provocative.
And I was like, what you mean? What? Like, let me know and I'll book a photo shoot, whatever.
How old were you?
I was like 16. And the guy tells me, I remember I felt so uncomfortable. And I told my mom, like, what the fuck?
But did you take the photos?
No, está loca.
Okay,
no.
okay.
I was like, he told me like, oh, I need different. And I was like, what do you mean by different? And he told me like, oh, I would like to see like fully naked. And I was.
And did he speak with you directly, not with your mom?
He will speak to me directly.
That's bad.
That's bad. Yes, that wasn't good. Like, you know, now that I see, I'm like, okay,
Yes.
this should have been managed differently. But I was also pretty smart, and I think my mom trusts me. So obviously, like, I sent him to hell. Like, I blocked him. I like disgusting. Like,
Well, because you had the personality at that age to, you know, like see that something was weird. Because
yes, and
if you want to be like really famous and you want to pursue your dream,
Of
you
course.
just send the pictures and who cares?
And things like that, like, you know, I think it's because like I started growing up and things like that started like happening. And I think probably that's why I don't dedicate myself to that profession, you know? Because
Thanks God.
as a woman, it's hard.
It's
and
hard.
And it was you're very vulnerable because like people take advantage of you because you want to be famous, right? I remember another time was like a casting, and it was for a movie, and the casting director will always talk to me through Facebook. I was like 17. And it was this scene that was in a shower for this movie. And he told me like, look, for the casting, I need to do like the full scene. I'm like, okay, how's the scene, you know? And it's just from here to there. I'm like, okay, I'll just wear a bra,
Yeah.
you know, underneath. And no, like, you just have work on TV. With film, it's different because it's more natural, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I'm not showing up.
Possible.
So I always I never went to castings by myself. I always went with someone, even like as an adult, because things happen and get weird.
And you know that sometimes as parents, we think that we have to protect our girls, like just female actress. But like in this case that you see, like now you remember, no, like it could happen if you're a
To
girl,
anyone.
if you're a boy, like people that is sick and
They don't care.
they don't care. They
They
don't care if
don't
you're a girl, if you're a
discriminate.
boy. So we have to be careful as a parents because sometimes we take care more if
Of
you're a
the-
girl, you know, like
No,
you are more
yeah.
protective if you have a girl and you be with her, like around her all the time. But
Everyone always says like, oh, it's better you have boys because you don't need to take care as much of them. Like, no, dude, like I take care of them like the same. So have that anything because you work on TV as a journalism, and I know it's like a hard business because it's mostly men. Have
Yes.
something ever happened to you
Well,
weird?
thanks God, like I always have tried to have with my coworkers, like to have a relationship with my coworkers just in a working mode, you know, like it was really difficult for me to be friends with them. Like I tried to put a wall because I didn't want them to think, because every time that you have a move, maybe they think or they think that you want something else. So when we had a show or a game day, and we had to go to the hotel in the morning, and we like had to have dinner together after the game, I just dinner with him and just left
Yeah.
to my room.
That's the best.
I didn't let them to think bad things about me, so I disappeared, you know, like I try to be apart because I know that when you are in that situation, it's so easy
Yes.
to be in a bad spot.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Well, thank God. Like we haven't been in a situation like has put us in that vulnerable. I think we've been very careful.
Yes.
With this documentary, I was really shocked because I grew up watching these kids. Like, I thought they were just having fun, and that was part of like what inspired me to be an actress. I was like, wow, I wanna be there. I wanna have fun, and and it was like a very abusive.
And when you see all these
environment.
kids, like even Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, that I know that they are
Amanda
Bynes, you
Lindsay
see all the
Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan, all these stars that grew up like in that big screen, like when you see them right now, like wow, the kind of addictions and traumas and problems that they have
They didn't have
because
a
of
childhood.
that, because wow, it's so you pay the price of the fame.
I know. And you see like people like us, the Olsen twins, that they just decide to never be on TV anymore because it was so harsh that they just don't want to know anything about it. Me personally, the TV industry for me was nice, but there was some toxic environments, like not so much in that part, like in sexual harassment, things like that. It happened, as I told you, so I have more stories like that. Thank God I always was very careful, but it was toxic in the way that they make you overwork. They take advantage of that. You want to be the star, you want to be famous, you like want to make it in that career, and they tells you they like don't put your rights. For example, Telemundo was just part of the SAG when I started working there, like after a year. So it's like, dude, this is just beginning in the Latin world. That the right, like, there's things like that you don't get overtime, that you'll be like many hours on set, the food is not good, and they like make you do, like, for example, one thing that I will see happening a lot is that, okay, you have a role of 5 episodes, let's say. So this any TV channel will be like, okay, so you have 5 episodes. We're not gonna pay by episode. We're gonna pay by day. So in this
one day,
you're gonna do 5 episodes. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. It should be paid.
Yes, because it's impossible for you to give your 100%
Exactly.
working so many hours.
No, of course, and it's not sustainable. Like, that career is not sustainable. Like, okay, and the payment is $500 for the day, instead of being like, okay, at least let's do these 5 episodes in 3 days. So it's like, at least you have something. So I got very like not super comfortable with the industry. But I think things are changing.
But now you
This
have a
helps.
podcast that is better than being an actress,
Yes,
for sure.
I'm my
And you know
own
what? As a
director.
parent, if you are a mom or a dad who have a kid who wants to be an actress or an actor, be with them, one.
Yes.
And 2, review their contracts.
Yes.
With a manager, with an executive, with people who know about the business, because I was talking with many of the Somos Tú y Yo TV show.
Yeah, it's like a kids
Somos Tú y
show
Yo, it
in
was a
Venezuela.
Venezuelan show in Venezuela, really famous, and they sold the TV show to
many countries.
100 countries in Asia, in Africa,
The
in
same
Europe.
thing happened with Rebelde.
With Rebelde, and they didn't receive any royalty for the show, just the payment that they received during the show as a salary, and they didn't receive a royalty for the show. So that stars that nowadays they do something different because they cannot they are not like in Venezuela, the actress and the TV industry career, that it was broken, and they do something different for living right now, and they didn't receive any money.
Yes, so yeah, for sure you need to be careful with that, and just like
Be with them.
Be with them, and not just if they want to be on TV. If, like, as we say, sports, any kind of situation that you see something that you don't like, someone you don't like, protect your kids. I'm like 100%.
Don't be so confident with the
Uh-huh.
people that you believe.
Exactly. Yeah,
That-
because things happen even with
Yes,
family.
yes.
So I think like eyes wide open, don't trust anyone. Not sleepovers, things like that. and I'm very sorry about what happened to Drake, because I was a real fan. I will never think that he was going through that, but I'm very proud that he speak up.
And you see nowadays the TV show, and wow, he was such a good actor. You never imagine that he was happening for
He was
that
passing through that.
situation.
Yeah, like I think one of the things he said in the show, in the documentary, is that was the only time that he was
Aw.
happy, because he was like playing
A
someone
role.
else's life. It wasn't like his shitty life that he was living back then. So that's why
Wow.
it was so good, because he was like living it at the max.
It was a therapy for him,
Yes.
and he didn't know.
Yes, so it's sad, but the good thing is that things are changing, and I'm glad these people are speaking up, and the
Yes.
industry for sure needs to change, and we as moms, just be careful.
Raise your voice.
Raise your voice, all right? So we'll see you next time in another More Than Mamis Untold Stories.
Bye-bye. More than Mamis.